Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. I am your host, Caleb Calhoun. We have got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about some comments made about Tennessee's offense, and it brings up the question, will they ever be able to run tempo ever again? That'll be today's tough question. Also, 4 downs, SEC coaches are now warming up to the idea of playing Big Ten schools. We'll talk about the things that are kind of the obstacle to that, and we're going to see how that goes, but there's a lot going into that because there's a lot of reasons why it may or may not happen. We're going to talk about the biggest factors. Greg Sankey falls for a parody report. How can anybody take this guy seriously as a commissioner? Seriously, I've said from the start, I don't think he's a good commissioner. I don't think he's done a good job. He fell for a parody report this week and commented on it in a press conference. What a joke, okay? We're going to talk about Greg Sankey falling for, again, a parody report. Lane Kiffin comes out. He wants a 16 best straight seeding model for the college football playoff. We're going to talk about all the different models for the college football playoff and the best one to go with. That's going to be hot or cold. And the softball College World Series begins and the baseball NCAA tournament begin. We're going to debate which team between Tennessee softball, which is in the College World Series, and Tennessee baseball, which begins the NCAA tournament, which Tennessee baseball begins the NCAA tournament on Friday. Tennessee softball begins the NCAA tournament today. We are going to debate which team is more likely to win it all. Who has the better chance of winning it all? That's going to be banked on it. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn your notifications on. We're building something great at Off the Hook Sports. We want you to be a part of it. The show is represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's dive in with today's tough question. Philip Montgomery, a longtime coach in college football, who worked in the Art Briles offense, was a head coach at Tulsa from 2015 to 2022, was Auburn's offensive coordinator in 2023, and has now been hired as Virginia Tech's offensive coordinator, had some comments recently about Tennessee's tempo and Tennessee's offense and the Josh Heupel offense, which for those who don't know is a combination of the Art Briles veer and the Mike Leach air raid. Speaking recently in an interview, Montgomery was talking about the Briles offense. It was on Tech Sideline podcast. He was talking about the offense kind of slowing down a little bit recently. Now, again, he's rooted in the Art Briles, Baylor, veer, and shoot offense, which is the base of Josh Heupel's offense. Heupel just adds air raid concepts. That's where Philip Montgomery was Art Briles' assistant for a while. Here is what he said about the offense. Quote, when we were at Baylor, it was, call as many plays as you can call it like your hair is on fire. Our goal at the time was to try to get 100 plays in a game. If you hit 100, more times than not, you're going to win. I think defenses have adjusted to that. If you're going to play fast all the time, they have systems installed now to kind of stay with you in that. I think what does cause them problems is when you're able to change that tempo throughout the game. Hey, we're normal. We're speeding up. We're slowing down. We may huddle. We may change the cadence. We may look. We may have a look with me type of deal. To be able to have all of those different variables within your offense to be able to use is important. And there may be one game you use a ton of tempo. The next game, you may only use tempo 2 times. I think the flow of the game and the game plan of that going into it dictates the usage of the tempo. So that actually asked a genuine question. And this will be today's tough question. Tennessee's reduced offensive tempo the last 2 years was due to defenses adjusting, bad quarterback play, OC change, or lack of talent elsewhere. Or we'll say personnel elsewhere. We won't say talent. Besides QB. So you guys wrote on the poll question, but today's tough question is this. What is the reason for Tennessee's reduced offensive tempo? What's the primary reason? Many people have blamed Nico Iamaleava not being as ready as they thought last year, and they blame Joe Milton the year before. Many people rightly talked about the issues at wide receiver last year. That could be a personnel issue. Another personnel issue could be that Tennessee just had such great interior blocking and had such a good running back in Dylan Sampson, who set the school record for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in a season, that Josh Heupel just wanted to change the system. Other personnel issues at tackle. A reason Josh Heupel went 12 personnel. That's possible. A lot of people not fans of Joey Halzle. Maybe they just don't think he's that good of an offensive coordinator. Maybe that's why Tennessee's tempo has slowed. But I'm going with defense is adjusting. I think that 3-3-5 shell defense is exactly what Philip Montgomery is referring to. Because here's what the case is with the 3-3-5 shell. It allows defenses to adjust to the tempo because this Art Briles veer and shoot with the Josh Heupel air raid concepts begs for deep passes down the sideline to beat you over the top. That's how they get you with the tempo. They catch you napping and they hit you over the top with those. What they seem to be doing now is just staying in that base shell defense, at which point the way to beat them is to have a good interior offensive line and a good running game. And if you don't have that, you have issues. You're not just seeing this with Tennessee, by the way. Okay, I've told you guys this before. This happened all over the country last year in college football. Now the Josh Heupel offense, the veer and shoot, if you call it, the Art Briles, Mike Leach combination, has kind of spread out everywhere. It's going all over the place now. And just to give you a few schools, I mean, we can talk about a lot of different schools that just weren't as good and offensively with this type of coaching as they had been in years past. South Florida, Alex Golesh. South Florida did average 32.2 points per game last year. That was 33rd out of 134. However, this offense at a lower level, like the American Athletic offense, should be at like the American Athletic Conference, should be able to be a top 10 offense easily. And that didn't happen this past year. This was Alex Golesh's second year. The offense was supposed to take off, and it didn't. He didn't match what he did at Tennessee. He was still a good coach, went 7-6, but that was a problem. Lincoln Riley, who also runs the offense, by the way, ran it at USC. People cite Caleb Williams leaving as a reason that they took a big step back offensively. But whatever it is, they went from 41 points per game to 30 points per game. And they were out of the top 50 offensively last year. Again, a big issue. Okay, moving over, Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State, nobody expected Mississippi State to be good last year. I didn't, and I don't think anybody else did. We all thought they'd be bad their first year with Jeff Lebby. So 2-10 is not shocking. What is shocking is the offense only averaging 25.8 points per game and them being 86th out of 134. Jeff Lebby was Josh Heupel's offensive coordinator at UCF. You would think this offensive splash would have an early impact, even if Mississippi State wasn't good. For context, Josh Heupel inherited a terrible Tennessee team, almost as bad as Mississippi State in 2021, but his offense still averaged 39.3 points per game and was 7th in the nation. That was back in 2021 before people figured this out. So what I'm gathering at this point is the tempo is starting to slow for this offense, and the reason is because defenses have adjusted. Is it a permanent thing? Well, we'll see. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott.
So the poll question up, Tennessee's reduced offensive tempo the last 2 years was due to defenses adjusting, quarterback play, OC change, personnel elsewhere besides quarterback. 0% are saying personnel elsewhere. 45%, a plurality, are saying defense is adjusting, but 36%, a close second, are saying quarterback play, and then 18% say offensive coordinator change. Again, I lean towards defense is adjusting. Now, to the credit of quarterback play, Tennessee's dip in this tempo happened in 2023 after they lost Hendon Hooker, whereas USC kept it that year and then didn't have the dip until they lost Caleb Williams, which was in 2024. So there is a fair argument to make for the dip being due to quarterback play. And maybe you at South Florida and Mississippi State did not have the right quarterbacks they needed. Going to the message board real quick, Armsblood says all of the above in addition to hypo adapting. Yeah, the hypo adapting I would say was the defense is adjusting is why hypo adapted. But Derek says Nico would never take off and just slide for 5 to 7 yards or just hit the tight end underneath sitting under the zones. Instead, he rolled right, left, and held onto the ball too long, like some flag football. You know what? I mean, look, I agree. General Ursa says a combination of lack of quarterback play and defense is adjusting. It's very true that it could be both of those. And Derek says under Nico and Milton, offense was never efficient to run different tempos. You're over the offense. Okay, Derek. I kind of see that, but I do think we have to be a little bit fair on the fact that things have changed and those weren't the best quarterbacks. Josh Heupel, the talent evaluator, has not been good so far. But Unsung says perhaps Golish is a great offense coordinator, but not a great head coach. Yeah, but as an offensive coordinator, offense should be his calling card, so he should have been better in that specific area. And it wasn't just Golish and South Florida that was struggling during that time. And David Speaks says Locke, Gabriel, and Hooker thrived when Joe and Nico struggled. But again, Locke, Gabriel, and Hooker, the argument is maybe the defense has started to adjust just the last 2 years based on what Philip Montgomery said. So that's part of it. And Dylan brings up a great point. The slap on the wrist for faking injuries that can't even be proved is a weakness for up-tempo offenses. That's a great point, Dylan. Defenses have adjusted by the faking of the injuries. That's the biggest one. And I think that's causing problems for a lot of teams because they're just unable to do what they need to do to run this tempo. Now, Josh Heupel, again, showed last year he was patient and willing to just stick it on the ground the entire time if he needed to win games. But will that be a long-term solution? Time will tell. Tennessee had a generational running back last year in Dylan Sampson, and they had arguably the best interior offensive line they have had in a long time. I would say since at least 2013, but probably before that. I don't remember a Tennessee interior offensive line being as good as it was last year with Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, and Andre Carrick. All of them were really, really, really good. And Josh Heupel's offense calls for a much higher level of intelligence among interior offensive linemen than other offenses do because most of the running is directly in the gaps. So the center has to call a lot more plays. So that losing that could cause issues. The 3-3-5 shell is going to take away the deep ball until Tennessee consistently proves they can run it. They proved it last year, but teams are going to go back to it this year because Tennessee lost all 3 interior linemen and Dylan Sampson. So they're going to have to prove they can do it again this year. If they do, their offense will still be fine, and then the tempo may return, and the deep shots will return the next year. But for now, the faking injuries and that 3-3-5 is going to slow tempo to a certain degree. Derek, I mean, that's the thing. I get your point. The 3-3-5 concept, Josh Heupel has no answer except his zone run. You're right. Now, part of that, this is where quarterback play could come into it. Weren't a lot of zip passes over the middle last year. Josh Heupel doesn't call a lot of those, and you're right. The underneath routes would punish that 3-3-5. However, at the same time, the zone runs, they were working the whole time. So it's hard to really criticize what Josh Heupel did in that regard. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chatwith2tsmortgage.com, chatwith2tsmortgage.com. Moving on. It's time for some 4 downs. As SEC spring meetings continue, SEC coaches are clearly expressing a desire to play Big Ten schools on an annual basis, but there are factors that have to come into play if they're going to do that. Brian Kelly came out and discussed his preferred format, and he said that Ross Dellinger reported on X that Brian Kelly proposed a 9-game SEC schedule plus 1 Big Ten game and then 2 other lesser opponents. That sounds nice on paper, and I think all fans would love that more. But that is way harder than people realize given everything that's going on. Now, some things we understand is the Big Ten wants to press the SEC to expand to a 9-game conference schedule too. That's a story for tomorrow because there's more to discuss with that. Just sticking with this, though, here are the 4 factors that have to be taken into account before the SEC actually does the Big Ten scheduling. And it's 4 downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. First down, the college football playoff format. The CFP last year did not reward strength of schedule at all. So the SEC is not going to sit there and have some sort of annual challenge with Big Ten schools if that means that Alabama has to play Ohio State every year. And then at the end of the year, Alabama's competing with Indiana, who's in the Big Ten and maybe didn't have to play Ohio State and played a much weaker Big Ten schedule despite 9 games and played nobody good out of conference. And because Indiana has a 1-game better record, maybe Alabama's not going to the playoff, or SMU for that matter. So that's the first big problem with this, is the college football playoff format is going to have to change if you want an SEC Big Ten challenge. It's just going to have to. There's no way around it. Second down. Given the SEC's bad TV deal relative to the Big Ten's, bowl payouts are still necessary for a lot of schools. So having a Big Ten game would completely neutralize that, because there are a lot of schools that want to schedule the easiest path possible to a 6-6 season, most notably Kentucky. And yes, you do have to play a Power 5 school if you are an SEC school. But why not schedule a really bad Power 5 school in the ACC or Big 12, or I guess it's called Power 4 now, rather than run the risk, if you're Kentucky, of accidentally playing one of the better Big 10 schools in a year and then losing that game? Why do that? See, this is the thing you have to think about. They maybe would consider it if bowl eligibility rules changed, or if the SEC had a better TV deal. But the payouts for SEC schools are significantly behind the payouts for Big Ten schools now because of the TV deals. And that's going to cause a long-term problem. I'm not sure people realize how much it is, particularly on the recruiting front. Look, Kentucky likes to recruit Ohio, okay? And so does Indiana. Let's just take Kentucky and Indiana. They are border states that actually both recruit some Midwest talent at lower levels. Who's going to get the talent more now? Indiana, with the NIL age and the Big Ten payouts that are so much better. Indiana's going to get them. Kentucky can't afford to not get that 6th win. They need the bowl payouts to save that. The SEC does. So they're going to have to change either the TV deals, unlikely, or bowl eligibility rules before the SEC just blindly agrees to playing a Big Ten schools down the line. Third down. There are too many rivalry games between the SEC and the ACC for this to happen unless something changes. Georgia plays Georgia Tech every year. Georgia Tech's actually a program on the rise. Florida plays Florida State every year. Most people believe, even if they are falling off under Mike Norvell, they'll still be at some point a very good program. Kentucky has to play Louisville. South Carolina has to play Clemson. Those games the last week of Thanksgiving are some of the most exciting games to watch. We all love them. You're going to ask the SEC teams, you're going to ask them to play those games and then also play a Big Ten team at the start of the season. That's going to be really hard to work out, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. So something's going to have to give. And who wants to see the Florida State rivalry go? I certainly don't. And anybody who lived through the 90s doesn't want to see that game go. Anybody who lived through the 60s probably doesn't want to see the Georgia Tech rivalry game go. Anybody who has just lived doesn't want to see South Carolina Clemson go, okay? Particularly during the Lou Holtz, Tommy Bowden era and that big fight that happened in 2004, one of the greatest fights in football. So with that in mind, I'm sorry, but it's really hard to see how you can have this format with the other ACC rivalries happening. But that's not the biggest drawback, because the biggest drawback affects all these other things we're about to mention. And the biggest drawback that they have to hash out, I'll give you in a second. First off, 4 downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford
Fourth down on why there's an impediment to the SEC playing the Big Ten every year is the obvious one that affects all the other ones. The SEC's working on trying to move to 9 conference games too. I don't think most people in the SEC outside of Brian Kelly want to play 9 SEC games plus a Big Ten game. And if you're Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Georgia, and you want to preserve your rivalries, you have to play 9 conference games plus a Big Ten team plus your ACC rival. That's a brutal schedule, man. And then you get 1 easy game a year, non-conference. That's a problem. I don't think that's going to work. And I know people want to see it work, and I understand why you would want to see it work, but I think there's too many issues and kinks to work out with that. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna say it. I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon unless some things change dramatically. You can't have the CFP format as it is, the bowl eligibility rules as it is, the TV contract as it is, the current rivalries with the ACC as they are, and also move to 9 conference games if you're going to have an SEC Big Ten challenge to start the year. Everybody wants it. I would love to see it. Fans would love to see it. I just don't think it's going to happen. And honestly, I don't think it should happen. I think there should be, I think there should be more high-profile matchups every year. Also, from the other perspective, what if Florida wants to play Miami every year and Florida State? I would love to see, if you're going to have 2 Power 5 schools on a schedule every year, which I'm fine with, I want to see Florida play Florida State and Miami every year. Should they have to play a Big Ten school on top of that? That's absolutely ridiculous. And more importantly, 16 versus 18, there would be 2 Big Ten schools not part of this challenge. What happens if one of those 2 Big Ten schools is Indiana, who plays 3 easy non-conference games, who plays 3 crap non-conference games, and then doesn't play anybody tough in the Big Ten regular season, except maybe Ohio State, goes 11-1 as they did last year, and gets into the playoff over a 10-2 or even 9-3 SEC team that had to do an SEC Big Ten challenge, and you're going to say, oh, it's because the Big Ten played the extra conference game, so Indiana had a tougher schedule. Baloney, okay? I'm sorry. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the bottom half of the Big Ten was still worse than the bottom half of the SEC this past year. I don't think there's any way the SEC can get this Big Ten challenge that they want. Everybody's talking about these new changes with the SEC, the 9 conference games, the SEC Big Ten challenge, more high-profile non-conference games, all these amazing things. They're not possible in the current structure. It's not going to happen. So a lot has to change with college football before that happens. And I think that's the issue that people have a hard time accepting. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection and strict standards. HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com, HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. That is HOOKED for 10% off. When we come back, we're going to talk about Greg Sankey falling for a parody report and why this man should not be the SEC's commissioner for this alone. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
Why Banks and Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks and Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we get back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your pair.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at NFC1.com or stop by any one of our
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program brought to you by HoundDogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. hdknoxville.com. Before we move on, I want to get to this day in Tennessee sports history. And it's just a happy birthday to somebody we really need to honor. And I'm talking about Keenan Pili. Keenan Pili is a VFL, if there ever was one. The poor guy had back-to-back season-ending injuries. He was a great leader for this football team. And it's sad how his career ended with those injuries. But I think that the guy who transferred from BYU is a guy that will always have a special place in everybody's heart. He really did help Tennessee the first half of last year's season. And with that in mind, I think Keenan Pili deserves a lot of praise with the way he went about things that have happened. A veteran and just a very, very, very sad way his career went towards the end. So happy birthday, Keenan Pili. And we wish him the best in all of his future endeavors. So, this day in Tennessee sports history, brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. Link in the description, and I'm now posting it in the chat right now. Link peakivhydration.com. Oh, and for those who don't know, Keenan Pili turned 27 today. So Keenan Pili is 27 years old. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. So, moving on, we're going to play a little What the H, and it deals with Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey is not cut out to be a conference commissioner. And the reason I say that is because of what he said at a press conference or publicly during the SEC spring meetings recently. Sankey said in an interview with Paul Feinbaum on Wednesday, while recapping a week in Destin, that there was a report that he had the authority to leave the NCAA. And here's his exact quote. There was a report early in the week that I had the authority to depart the NCAA. In Monday's press conference, my observation was in our room. There are those who asked, does the NCAA still work for us? Why are we still in the NCAA? So we talked about a decision-making working group. Chancellor Boyce from Ole Miss and myself are on that. What is our position? We felt, and I think we still feel, autonomy division within the NCAA is the best direction. So that's a decision we made before. How do we position it as this conversation takes place? Now, this is based, I kid you not, on a parody tweet that talked about the SEC wanting to leave the Big Ten, the NCAA. I'm not kidding you guys. This is based on a parody tweet, okay? There were multiple parody reports that came out over the weekend, or on Twitter, that basically said Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, announces that the SEC will break away from the NCAA before the 2028-29 season. Okay, this originally came out from Carson TK, okay, as a parody joke, and they made themselves look like an official account. So here's the real question, and this is the honest truth. Did Greg Sankey fall for a parody account? Seriously. Because there was no real report that the SEC is exercising authority to leave the NCAA. None. There was no report that he had the authority to do that. Sankey is saying that based on a fake report that came out, and he's responding to a parody account. I'm sorry, guys. Greg Sankey is not fit to lead the SEC. He has made mistake after mistake after mistake during his time as conference commissioner. His claim to fame was that he helped the SEC navigate through the COVID-shortened 2020 season. And I give him credit for that. Navigating that was tough, given all, whatever you feel about it, given all the rules and laws that were happening during that time. Greg Sankey navigating that whole season, kudos to him. But falling for a parody report has got to be the final straw. Let's talk. Neither the SEC nor college football nor college athletics in general likes Greg Sankey. College athletics and college football don't like him because they feel like he's stronger on the expansion of the college football playoff, that he has absolutely devalued the regular season with what he's trying to do, which is get as many teams in postseasons as possible. That's looking out for the SEC, to be fair, but that hurts his reputation with college sports fans because they feel like he's ruining what they love about college sports. Now, in terms of looking out for the SEC, though, from the SEC's perspective, he hasn't done that on the things that mattered. Because, as I said, he locked the SEC in to a 10-year, $300 million deal in a TV contract per year that the SEC just began this past year. That deal was negotiated in 2019. Given the age of TV contracts in college sports, why would you negotiate a deal for 10 years set to go into effect 5 years later, meaning you're on the hook for 15 years at that point before you can negotiate a better deal? And immediately 2 years later, he jumps into adding to Oklahoma and Texas. Clearly had no plans to do it. I've been negotiating with them for a year, but had no plans to do it, and did it without negotiating with anything with ESPN and trying to renegotiate that contract. What happens? The Big Ten goes and adds UCLA and USC, and then they negotiate a 7-year, $7 billion deal, $1 billion a year. So they're already making 3 times as much in TV revenue as the SEC. Now, yes, they added Oregon and Washington at a discount, but they're making 3 times as much with just 2 more teams. Okay. So more payout for every school, no matter what. The payout's the value of an entire NIL budget. And on top of that, the Big Ten is going to be able to renegotiate that deal in 2031, while the SEC is still stuck in its previous deal, at which point the Big Ten might get 4 times as much for at least 3 years. Terrible negotiations by Greg Sankey on that. Then he's getting testy and angry because he can't whip other SEC schools to come along for a 9-game schedule, which makes sense because of the lack of consistency with the CFP committee, a CFP he was instrumental in creating. And then finally, he falls for a parody report. Guys, Greg Sankey doesn't belong as the leader of the SEC. The guy got there through a compliance. Let's not forget why he was hired. Greg Sankey was hired in the early 2000s to help the SEC with compliance. Why? Because compliance was a problem given the Alabama Albert Means situation and the Kentucky situation that got them on probation for a year. And both schools being on postseason bans in 2002 was a black eye for the league at the time. So they brought in Greg Sankey to help with compliance. Compliance for rules that don't even matter anymore. Okay, you can pay players. And they don't even have postseason bans. What is Greg Sankey's value? This just doesn't make any sense, guys. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. And I think Greg Sankey is making the SEC look more desperate than it is the state of college football and the dominant program in college football. I'm sorry. Greg Sankey is absolutely a terrible commissioner. What the H brought to you by Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
The poll question, Greg Sankey falling for a parody report, is no big deal. 38% say no big deal. 62% say proof he is not cut out to lead the SEC. The 62% is right. He's not cut out to lead the SEC. He has no idea what he's doing. He is in over his head. He is, if you were going to devalue the tradition of college sports that everybody loves, which he's done, at least you could say you're doing it because your job is to look out for the best interests of the SEC in general. That's what the Big Ten's done. The Big Ten has absolutely destroyed college tradition way more than the SEC. I mean, the Big Ten added USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington. How is the Big Ten the one responsible? How is the SEC more responsible than the Big Ten? They're not. The difference is Big Ten fans aren't complaining because they're getting sweet payouts because they've negotiated good deals. And you see that as they won the last two national championships, Ohio State and Michigan. And some of these other schools you're seeing aren't going anywhere. So with that in mind, I'm sorry, the Big Ten has the SEC could probably win people back. Greg Sankey could win people back over if they felt he had any sort of control. There was this, Greg Sankey is effectively college football's commissioner. No, he's not. He has no power. He has no power in the sense of he has mismanaged his hand so many times. And so he can't get anybody to agree with what he wants. Here's what Greg Sankey does. And I'm dead serious. This is exactly what he does. Greg Sankey jumps in with what the fans want without any thinking logistically of how it will work long term. Fans wanted the SEC doubleheader with ESPN and ABC and that deal because they wanted the SEC to be exclusively on ESPN. It was easier for them and everything like that. Fine. But should have negotiated a better deal when you did it. Fans wanted Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. They thought it'd be fun to watch those games when it happens. Fine. You should have figured out how you could renegotiate your TV contract before you did that, though. Or take them at a discount. Fans want 9 SEC games. Fine. Figure out how you can get schools on board with it because you're not doing it right now. Fans would love bigger non-conference games, an SEC big matchup at the beginning of the year. Figure out logistically how you can do that. Fans love an expanded playoff. Fine, figure out the best way to have the expanded playoff that doesn't have conferences fighting everybody. Every time Greg Sankey did something, he did it exactly the way a fan would have done it without thinking logistically how it would work out. And this is why he's not cut out to be commissioner of the SEC. This specifically is why he's not cut out to be commissioner of the SEC. Because he thinks immediately reactionary the way a fan would and not the way he should as an SEC commissioner. Now, again, fans should be called out all the time for wanting to have things happen and then getting mad when it happens the way they don't want it. That's mob mentality, but that's what fans do. They're not paid to make these decisions. Greg Sankey is, and Greg Sankey dropped the ball completely. Portions of the program are brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, "Hey, Mo, Off the Hook Sports sent you." QualityTirePros.com. When we come back, speaking of administrative things, Lane Kiffin has his own suggestions for the college football playoff. We're going to play a little bit of hot or cold with what he's proposing and what also has been proposed. Stick with us 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we're still trying to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your bear.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program are brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry. A Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. The last poll question. Greg Sankey falling for a parody report is 33% say no big deal. 67% say proof he's not cut out to lead the SEC. Now, new poll question coming up that I want to do is this. What's the best CFP format? And we'll give you 3 options. Straight seeding, automatic qualifiers per conference, take straight seeding, guaranteed spots for some champions. Okay. How about that? What's the best college football playoff format? Straight seeding, automatic qualifiers per conference, guaranteed spots for some champions. When I say guaranteed spots for some champions, I mean a 5+11 model, a 4+12, something like that. I say all this because Lane Kiffin has now come out and given his thoughts on the college football playoff. He says the college football playoff should just be the 16 best, period, end of story. No debates for automatic bids or anything like that. Now, at the same time, the SEC reportedly is looking at a 5+11 model if they go to 16 teams. And the Big Ten is looking for automatic qualifiers per conference. I'm going to go through all of these and determine what's the best way to go about this. But for now, let's play a little hot or cold. Hot or cold brought to you by City Heating and Air. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. CityHeatandAir.com. Let's play some hot or cold. Let's get rolling. Every single way the college football playoff format could go in the next year. After this year, when it's up, because 2026 is when this goes into effect. Let's start with Lane Kiffin's suggestion. 16 best teams, straight seeding. I'm totally cold on that. It's going to devalue the regular season so much because it's going to take away the ability to play for some sort of championship or anything to play for during the regular season, particularly for some of the smaller conferences. I'm actually totally against what Lane Kiffin said. I'm cold on that. Sorry. It is. When I say straight seeding, it's just the 16 best. I'm not for just the 16 best going. 12 best. No auto bids. Again, cold on it. I'm cold on ever doing just the best when you go beyond like 6 teams. Okay. So the 12 best, totally cold on it. Not a fan. Sorry. You can hate me all day. I don't like that. I think you open the door for too many 9-3, 8-4 teams to get in, and I don't want to see them have a shot to win a title. 14 best. Again, totally cold on it. Not a fan. I think it's ridiculous. So I'm ditching those. I'm ditching all the best teams. I'm sorry. I disagree with everybody on the straight seeding model with this. I don't think I've phrased that right. Here, let me rephrase it. Best CFP format is just the best teams, set number of teams per conference, some auto bids for conference champs. Okay. some auto bids for league champs. Okay, there we go. How about that? Best CFP format is just the best teams, set number of teams per conference, some auto bids for league champs. Okay, that's why we're doing it. Just the best teams. I'm cold on all three formats. And by the way, the reason we're doing 12, 14, 16 is there is either going to be 12 or 14 or 16 teams in the college football playoff going forward. All right. Now, auto bid models, where you have a set number of auto bids and then just the best teams outside of that. This is where things could get a little interesting. Now, straight seeding, seeding protections for auto bid winners is gone. So it's auto bid models with straight seeding. The 5+11 model, where you have 5 conference champions and 11 at-large bids. I am still cold on that. I don't like 11 at-large bids, particularly when some of those at-large bids will already be among the 5 best, at least the SEC and Big Ten champions. I think that's too many. Now, if that had been the case this past year, you would have had Ole Miss, Alabama, and South Carolina get in. So it would have looked a lot cleaner because people thought they all belonged in. But, if you go past those 16, then you also have to put in Miami. And does Miami not get any punishment for losing to Syracuse late? I mean, do these things not matter? So I get there's a clean, and then also you have an issue with BYU at 17. They're still going to have a fight at 17 and 18 with BYU and Iowa State. So no, I'm not for that. I think there's got to be some value in the regular season. The 5+9 model, 5 conference champions and 9 at-large bids. I am, believe it or not, still cold on that. I'm still cold on that. Because, again, I think that's too many. You're opening the door for 9 and 3 teams. If you did that last year, that'd be 14 teams. The 5+9 model last year was the 5+7 model. But if you do 14 teams, you're still getting 9 and 3 Alabama into the playoff. And a 9 and 3 Ole Miss or a 9 and 3 South Carolina. And then you're still going to have a debate because one of those teams has to be left out. You're probably putting Alabama and Miami in. But still, 9 and 3 teams from the SEC or 10 and 2 teams from the ACC don't belong in this playoff. I don't like looking at that. Sorry, I just hate it. Now, here's one more model for this, and then I'm going to go to the automatic qualifiers. The 5+7 model, just keep it as it is. The 5+7 model. Honestly, without automatic qualifiers, I'm fine with that. That's my best model. I'm hot on that because I want the fewest at-large bids possible because I want the regular season to matter. I want you to have to play for something, either be your conference championship or a select set of at-large bids. So I'm hottest on that. Hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air, 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters, cityheatandair.com. Auto bids, automatic qualifiers coming up after this quick message.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. There's your best.
All right. Let's play the automatic qualifier game for the college football playoff. Let's roll. A 16-team playoff where you have 4 SEC auto bids, 4 Big Ten auto bids, 3 ACC auto bids, 3 Big 12 auto bids, 1 group of 5 auto bid, 1 at-large auto bid. I'm high on that. I actually am. I think if you're going to do the college football playoff the expanded way, the automatic qualifiers is the best way to go. And I think automatic qualifiers works perfectly this way. If you do it this way, you can encourage more SEC Big Ten matchups in non-conference play. You can require it. You can require more tough non-conference games. And here's the thing. The automatic qualifiers aren't going to be where you finish in your conference standings. I think it's the highest 4 ranked teams in the conference, not where you finish in the conference standings. I think that's how it should go. So, yeah. And then I love the idea of a 3-6-4-5 format for a plan at this point. I don't love it. Let me take that back. I don't love it. It is the best of the worst options because an expanded playoff was stupid from the start. So I'm a huge fan of that. So I'm actually hot on that. If you're going to go to 16, do it that way. If you are going to go to 16, 4 automatic qualifiers, for the SEC and the Big 12 and the Big 10, 2 for the ACC and the Big 12, 1 group of 5, 3 at large. I can still live with that. Again, I can live with automatic qualifiers with 16 teams. I really can. I don't have a problem with it. I think that's the best way to put some value, some more inherent value in the regular season. All right. Sticking with the automatic qualifiers, and this is still with, this is if you were to go to 14 teams. 4 for the SEC and the Big 10, 2 for the ACC and the Big 12 each, 1 group of 5, 1 at large. Once again, very high on that. I'm fine with that. If you're going to do 14, do the automatic qualifiers. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Big fan. I know I'm high. I know that sounds crazy, but I actually like this. It's the best way to put value on the regular season. Automatic qualifiers. And for the people that are like, oh, you should have to earn your way in. Yeah, you should. But the top 4 SEC teams are typically all going to be 4 teams belonging in the college football playoff anyway. So I'm fine with this. How about automatic qualifiers with just 3 SEC teams? Now, hear me out. 3 SEC teams, 3 Big 10 teams, 2 ACC teams, 2 Big 12 teams, 1 group of 5 team, and 3 at-large bids. Again, I'm hot on it. The only automatic qualifier one I'm not hot on is multiple at-large bids for a 16-team playoff. But for 14, yeah, I'm fine with that. I can live with those type of at-large bids. And then finally, stick with this 12-team playoff that you have. 3 SEC and Big 10 teams each, 2 ACC and Big 12 teams each, 1 group of 5, 1 at large. I'm not hot on that. I'm actually still with the 5-7 model. I would be in favor of just doing the 5+7 model if you stick with 12 teams. Now, my solution is the 5+7 model. I have an easy solution, by the way, that no one talked about last year, which is the way you do the 5+7 model is, and this is how you rethink college football. Do the straight seeding just as you did last year, just as you're doing. I'm fine with the straight seeding. However, and this is a big one, again, the conference champions get auto bids. We've already discussed that. You do the straight seeding format. In the first round, 5 gets to play 12 at home, 6 gets to play 11 at home. But 7 and 10 and 8 and 9 have to play at neutral site bowl games. Meanwhile, the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed after the first round buys get a home game in the second round. So right now you have 4 of the New Year's 6 games. You have 4 of the bowl games taking the second round and all home field advantage in the first round. How about flip that? Have 2 home field, all 4 games being on the home field in the first round. If you do my model, you have 2 of the bowl games in the second round, 2 in the first round, and 2 home games in the second round, 2 home games in the first round. You don't lose any bowls. That's the way I would do it. The top 2 seeds get to play the second round at home because then people will play hard in the conference championship games, including the SEC and Big 10. That's my model. My preferred model is the 5+7 model where 5 and 6 get to play the first round at home and 1 and 2 get to play the second round at home. That's the best model with the straight seeding format. That's the way to fix it. That's what I would do. But because that makes too much sense, no one's going to do it because that's how we do. All right. But that's the best model going forward. Now, the poll question, the best CFP format is just the best teams, a set number of teams per conference, some auto bids for league champs. 73% say just the best teams. Sorry, disagree. I think you got to have set number of teams per conference or some auto bids for league champs. You got to do one of those. But I appreciate you guys voting. Portions of the program are brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia daily updates. Facebook.com/sports treasures TN. It is time for the stat of the day. And the stat of the day is this, and it's going to lead into our final topic after commercial break. The stat of the day is that Tennessee baseball is in the NCAA tournament, while the softball program is in the Women's College World Series. It's only the 4th time this has happened. Yeah, that's right. It's only the 4th time ever that that this has happened. believe it or not. Excuse me. No, I take that back. Not the fourth time. Sorry. Mistake. Spoke too soon. The third time. It's only the third time ever that this has happened. The other 2 years were 2005 and 2023. So for only the third time in history is Tennessee baseball in the NCAA tournament, while Tennessee softball is in the Women's College World Series. We're going to talk about those two programs when we come back. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Before we move on to our final topic, the stat of the day that we brought up beforehand, Tennessee baseball is in the NCAA tournament while softball is in the Women's College World Series. Only the third time that has ever happened in the same year. The last two were 2005 and 2023. Stat of the day is brought to you by Work Trucks. They're all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with the nap-hide work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Truck supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's a fact. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to worktrucksllc.com. Worktrucksllc.com with an X. Why risk chancing your future and business on the wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? WorkTrucksLLC.com. Work Trucks will also work to make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your needs to a team. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. Proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. And portions of the program as we close out our show with the final topic is brought to you by the UPS Store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. The UPS Store Hardin Valley, 10629 Hardin Valley Road. All right. Tennessee softball will face the Oklahoma Sooners Thursday afternoon to begin their Women's College World Series. Meanwhile, on Friday, Tennessee baseball begins its NCAA tournament run by hosting the Knoxville Regional as the 14th seed against the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. Interestingly enough, both of them have much higher betting odds to win the title than their seeding would indicate. Tennessee baseball, despite being the 14th seed in the tournament, has the 6th best odds to win it all. Tennessee softball, despite being the 7th seed in the College World Series, is given the 4th best odds to win it all. Both of them, even more ironically, their odds are right at plus 1,200. So the poll question is this: who's more likely to win it all in 2025? Tennessee baseball or Tennessee softball? You guys go ahead and vote on that. We're going to go or Tennessee softball Lady Vols because we're going to be respectful because we don't want the smoke that Dave Hart got. But you guys go ahead and vote on that. Who's more likely to win it all in 2025, the Tennessee baseball Vols or the Tennessee softball Lady Vols? Technically, the softball program is ranked higher among the list, and they're already further. Theoretically, softball should get the edge. They're both at plus 1,200. Baseball 6th overall. Softball is 4th. Softball's already in the Women's College World Series, whereas baseball is just beginning the NCAA tournament, and we saw how baseball went. However, I'm going to say the baseball program has a better chance of winning it all for a few reasons. This tournament, the NCAA baseball tournament, is an absolute terrible way to crown a champion because it is a total random crapshoot, okay? I mean, one of the most random crapshoots you'll ever get in sports. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be handled the way it is. A 64-team field in baseball is insane because there's such a gap in talent between teams, but anybody can get red hot on any given day and win, and that's how you end up with Ole Miss winning it. I believe it would have been LSU won it in 2023. And I think in 2022 when Ole Miss won it all, yeah, that's how you end up with Ole Miss winning it all in 2022. Ole Miss had no business even being in the tournament, okay? And this is a problem. Ole Miss was a 3 seed, had to play a road game in the first round, a 3 seed in one regional. So you do the math, there's 16 seeds per regional, and it looks like, so Ole Miss at best, by the way, at best, okay, because there are 14 schools that host regionals or 16 schools that host regionals. And then you have, at best, Ole Miss was the 17th seed and then went and won the tournament. It's just a bad format. I'm not a fan of it. But I will say this. Because of that format, Tennessee has a much better chance of winning it in baseball because softball, the gap in talent is a little more defined, and softball has element of randomness is a lot less likely than baseball's, particularly with the pitching in softball. That's such a big deal. So with that, bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank member FDIC. Life made better. Bank on it. Tennessee baseball has a better chance of repeating as national champions as they begin the NCAA tournament than Tennessee softball has of winning the national championship while they're already in the College World Series. Bank on it.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions.
The poll question, who has a better chance to win it all this year? The Tennessee softball Lady Vols, 60%. The Tennessee baseball Vols, 40%. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still big on the Tennessee softball Lady Vols. Now, there's one big thing working in the Tennessee softball Lady Vols favor this year. Softball is about pitching way more than even baseball is. And you can pitch your pitchers every single game. And softball has maybe the best pitcher in the sport this year in Carlin Pickens. She was Softball America Pitcher of the Year in 2025. She may be the new Monica Abbott for Tennessee. Monica Abbott pitched shutout after shutout after shutout and got Tennessee a 1-0 lead in the Women's College World Series way back in 2007. And then unfortunately, she got no run support whatsoever. So Arizona won the next 2 games to win 2-1. But Carlin Pickens is the best pitcher in baseball. She holds the NCAA record for the fastest pitch ever thrown at 79.4 miles an hour. So although Tennessee is the 7th seed, that's why they have the 4th best odds to win it, because you can pitch your pitcher so much more in softball. And Carlin Pickens could absolutely single-handedly win this for Tennessee. That's the biggest reason softball could have a better chance of winning it all than baseball. That combined with being in the Women's College World Series in general is probably the biggest reason they have a chance, that they would have a better chance of winning it all. But I just think the actual overall element of randomness that comes in baseball, plus the talent of this baseball team. I mean, Unsung has a good point. The baseball team is young this year. People don't think about who all they lost. Probably one of the best teams in the history of college baseball. You are right from last year. And people keep looking at how baseball stumbled down the stretch of the year. And they did. I mean, that's absolutely true. But again, they were a young team. You can stumble into a tournament when you're young and then do really well. For context, the Lady Vols, Pat Summitt, her most underdog national title team was the 97 team, the middle of her three-peat from 96 through 98. That team had a lot of injuries and had a lot of youth early in the year, and then stumbled, backed into the NCAA tournament. Didn't back in, but got in as a 3 seed, not the typical 1 seed, failed to win the conference regular season or conference tournament title, and then shocked everybody to go win the national title, beating an undefeated UConn in the Elite 8 that year. That was the only Pat Summitt team that won the national title without capturing the conference regular season or tournament title. Interesting stat. She only captured both and won the national title 1 year. She only captured all 3 in 1997-98 when she went undefeated. But back to baseball. Baseball did seem to get a little bit of a regrouping during the SEC tournament. I mean, they did beat Alabama 15-10, and then they beat Texas 7-5. Yes, they lost to Vanderbilt 10-0 at the same time, but Tennessee could get red hot at any point. Again, this tournament is not the best tournament for crowning a champion. Softball will have to rely the most on pitching. Can it happen? We'll see. But again, my money is on baseball. Have I convinced you guys with the poll question? No, my case has worked against me. Somehow even more are siding with the softball Lady Vols. Now it's 67% say Tennessee softball versus 33% saying Tennessee baseball. I guess people don't value my opinions. I'm just kidding. I don't think that at all. But good luck to the Lady Vols, and good luck to the Vols, and good luck to everybody else participating in the NCAA baseball tournament and Women's College World Series. It's always kind of an exciting way to wrap up like the academic calendar athletic year are these events. So we'll see how it goes. Lady Vols should have already had a national title on their resume back in 2007. Look, when you talk major sports, I consider 5 sports major sports: football, men's basketball, women's basketball. In this order, by the way: football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball. In those 5, Tennessee has a national title in football. They have one in women's basketball. They have one in baseball. They're knocking on the door in men's basketball, and they've been knocking on the door in softball. They should have already had one in softball. If they could be knocking those down, you would be looking at the best overall athletic program in the country. Volleyball is also considered a major sport. Tennessee didn't make the NCAA tournament in that. I don't think they're going anywhere. But in terms of this, even though baseball is just beginning the 64-team NCAA tournament and softball is already in the 8-team Women's College World Series, my money is on Tennessee baseball having a better chance of winning it all, even though they have the exact same odds, and softball's actually ranked higher at 4, whereas Tennessee is 6th. So stick with that. Enjoy it if you like to watch it, and enjoy postseason college baseball. And we will talk more about that as time goes on if one of them does end up winning the national title. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, play to win, why settle. Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, leave a comment, tell me what you think, tell a friend. We're building something great here at Off the Hook Sports. We want you to be a part of it. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I'll be back on tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern, unless we're taking vacation like I was last week. So I'll be back on tomorrow to talk more college sports with you guys and Tennessee sports. You guys have a great rest of your day with Caleb Calhoun. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.